You'll love Neil Breen.
I do not like awful movies.
Caller, go ahead. What's your favorite paranormal erotic fan fiction?
Gee, Mike, I can't say I have one, but hey, I wanted to talk to you and Joe about something. Oh, by the way, this is Mike, the trucker.
Hey, trucker Mike.
I called you a couple weeks ago about my 10-year anniversary of listening to your show.
Yeah.
Legit,
Hey.
Totally, yeah.
Hey, what's going on, buddy?
Hey, not much. I wanted to run something by you guys. Something that just seems kind of strange to me. So a little bit of background on myself. So for the last 20 years, I've been running trucks up and down Interstate 5 out here on the West Coast. And, over the years, you always see some homeless people, they've always been there, and typically they're around large towns, whatever. But I would say in the last 5 years or so,
homeless
there
or
has
hopeless?
been homeless, yes.
Homeless,
There's been an explosion of homeless people relative to the previous, say, 15 years. They're everywhere. I mean, it's eerie. I mean, and what's weird is typically homeless people will live close to like a major urban area, so they can panhandle, whatever. But I'm seeing more and more homeless people who are like just living out in the middle of nowhere. They got like a campfire underneath of a bridge 20 miles from the nearest town. And it's like, okay, so there's that. Then I listen to the news and the government's releasing these unemployment reports saying, well, the economy is at full employment. Unemployment is, at its lowest rate in 20 years. And I'm just like, as I'm listening to the news, I'm seeing all this explosion of homeless people around me. I'm like, what's really going on here? Something doesn't jive.
I agree with you. The numbers are rigged, and I totally agree with it. You can look at there's a website called Shadow Stats that basically readjusts the numbers that the government puts out when it comes to unemployment, the economy, all that kind of stuff. And right now they're claiming that the jobless rate, there's maybe only about 4%, 4 to 5% of people unemployed. That doesn't account for full employment or full-time jobs. It doesn't account for people who haven't been a part of the workforce, and they just decided to give up looking for work. They're not counted. Some estimates would say that anywhere from 20 to 25% of Americans are not working. And I would almost agree. I think that, if this was, 60 years ago, 70 years ago, you'd be seeing a lot more people. There'd be, I guess, what you could call food lines, bread lines, soup lines. But since everything's kind of electronic, it's not consolidated into one area. I think that it's much worse off than what people really are aware of, but it's been normalized and it's not been publicized because no one cares about poverty per se when it comes to the mainstream news. When poverty is a very big issue, the wage gap is a big issue, and the real unemployment numbers are a big issue. So you're seeing it firsthand out there, and you see it only continuing to increase. Correct?
Absolutely. Yeah. It's eerie. I mean, like I say, it's like in the last 5 years, it's just been an explosion. Now, to be honest, to consider all the different aspects of this. Now, from what I understand, the West Coast has a much higher, growth in the cost of housing. So that probably attributes some of it. But I know, I talked to some other guys who run around the country, and they're kind of seeing the same thing where there's just more than there was in the past. And the other point that I'd like to make concerning the homeless population that I observed, just once again anecdotal, typically you think of your average homeless person as being kind of disheveled, probably some sort of mental illness, and the way they present themselves kind of reflects that shopping cart with rubbish in it. But I'm starting to see more and more of these homeless people who are actually pretty orderly, they got an organized backpack, where everything's all neat and tidy. They are somewhat presentable. They're just, they're just living on the shoulder of the road, and it's weird. I don't know. And I don't know what to make of it, but it's, I don't know. So I was just kind of curious. I know that you're, in the Midwest, Ohio,
yeah.
And Joe's in Texas. I was kind of curious if you guys have noticed the same trend.
I on my way to work, I will walk about 20 minutes into the office. and I will pass by the same 5 homeless guys, sometimes a woman every now and again, sitting on the same corner holding up a sign. I would say almost every day for about a year or two right now. I haven't seen that number increase, but I have noticed like a casual increase just in the downtown area in general. And they do a thing with the homeless in Columbus where they, I guess there's like a shelter where they go to. They get newspapers. I guess it's the homeless news. It's a newspaper that they print up about the community, and they will try to sell that to people on the street for $1 or $2, and they wear a badge like they're authorized to do so, authorized panhandling. I'm not. Have you seen it anywhere else? Hey, Joe, have you seen that thing? Like,
oh yeah, absolutely. There's like the homeless news, and they sell it for a little bit of money and all that. Yeah, for sure. I haven't seen like this uptick in homeless necessarily, because living in Atlanta and Austin, there's like specific areas of town where it's like, you're just going to see them, and here it's like it is a lot. It's really bizarre, and they try to do their best. There's a lot of good programs around here in the city to kind of care for these people and rehabilitate them and stuff like that. So there's lots of cool little programs that they got going. But to me, I haven't really necessarily noticed an uptick. I do remember seeing more gutter punks as I was getting out of Atlanta, like the kinds of people who you described as like they seem with it. They're not crazy. They've got backpacks. They're organized. A lot of them are walking dogs. Like a lot of them, apparently they take trains and they just ride around and they choose this lifestyle. But that was the only trend upward I saw.
Okay. Yeah. The other thing I see is a lot out here on the West Coast, once again, is people living in run-down motorhomes everywhere, like, motorhomes parked here and there. And yeah, it's kind of crazy. I don't know. It's sad. But anyway, that's all I had to say, guys. One other thing, I'm going through the Pacific Northwest right now, so I'm keeping an eye out for Bigfoots and penises.
Please.
And all the things that go along with that. So I'll let you know if I happen to see one. How big is his penis?
Yes, please.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, right.
All right. Hey, thank you, Trucker Mike.
Thanks, Trucker Mike.
Yeah, thank you. Bye.
Okay, thank you for your call.
There he goes. There goes Trucker Mike. Homelessness is not talked.
What's that?
Homelessness is not talked about too much anymore, and certainly poverty is not talked about on the mainstream news.
No, because all we care about are refugees and migrants and people who cross the border illegally. Screw the homeless, screw the veterans who are killing themselves at whatever it is, 20 plus a day. Those people be damned. We need people who aren't even citizens.
I care for them. I cared about the homeless so much that I actually took one home with me one night and gave him some. For the new listeners who don't know that story, I'll tell that at a later date. But yes, I was stupid. I did not put myself. My heart was in the right place, but it was not the best move. I'll tell that story at a later date. But
when he also proposed to him, but the guy couldn't speak English, and it's embarrassing.
My heart was in the right place.
It was in the right place.